You're listening to the After the Show movie podcast from ascully.com. Your weekly look at movies, video games, and more, brought to you by your hosts, A Scully and Sid Talk. We're addicted to movies. Are you? Welcome, listeners. Welcome, Sid Talk as well. Hey. Hello.
You startled me out of my 20-second slumber.
Oh, were you asleep? Perfect.
There's a 20-second silence.
We strive to bring you quality reviews when we've just been asleep.
Well, they don't know. They don't all know.
I mean, this movie, it might felt like you were in a trance at times when you were watching.
You're skipping ahead. For right now, we're doing the before the after the show discussion, which was this movie and this bowl of fruit that I'm eating, and your cables for your new microphones, and supper. So there you go. That's our before the after the show. Very fascinating.
We were doing stuff.
I'm having a beverage with a little bit of adult beverage in it.
We recorded you chewing some food. It sounded awful.
Oh God, it made me want to throw up. If you don't know,
It was pretty gross.
I can't handle chewing or weird sounds or pen clicking or swallowing, even in my own head. These are things you don't need to know, but there you go. If you've never listened before, welcome to the podcast.
You need duct tape over your ear holes. That'll fix it.
Good solution. I can't handle anything touching my ear holes either. This is another element. Again, we're not here to psychoanalyze myself or anything like that.
It sounds very difficult.
We're here to talk
about a lot of money.
We're here to talk about something that doesn't need psychoanalyzing at all, which is a Brandon Cronenberg movie.
A movie that needs psychoanalyzing the most. All right, Saturday, March the 18th. This is After the Show 779. We're a movie review podcast. Every week we look at a new movie. This week we're looking at the movie Infinity Pool. It's a 2023 movie. Releases on Blu-ray on April the 11th. But you can stream it right now. It's rated R from our friends at Neon. And Sid Talk, give us the synopsis of the movie Infinity Pool.
April 11th is a long time.
It is.
I'm hung up on that date. I'm like, I was thinking I lost a few days, but no, not even at spring yet. Okay. You want me to what? Synopsisize?
Synopsisize this movie, please.
Synopsize. That's the word, I'm sure. Someone will tell me. Synopsize. A man and his woman, his wife, yes, they're married, going to a resort. He's a writer of very limited success, ?
Yes.
And some crazy stuff happens because he's battling his own self. If you don't know, in literary terms, what I've learned, I'm not a writer, but I understand there are some formulas, right? Uh-huh. There's man, and of course it's not a very gender equal way to put it. So, yes. Okay. Human versus nature is one. Human versus technology has developed over time. And human versus themselves, which is I always find kind of boring. And unfortunately, that ends up being what's dribbled into this story a little bit. You might disagree. There we have it. A little literary lesson for you.
I'll give you the real one, not the literary lesson one.
Oh, that was my synopsis, wasn't it?
Yeah. Which turned into more of a commentary.
I'm psychoanalyzing the movie. Okay,
Correct.
Got it.
All right. James and M. Foster are enjoying an all-inclusive beach vacation in the fictional island of La Tolca when a fatal accident exposes the resort's perverse subculture of hedonistic tourism, reckless violence, and surreal horror. All right, so this is the latest film from Brandon Cronenberg, son of David Cronenberg. We've seen his other film called, we've got a review of it, Possessor. We both kind of liked Possessor, I believe.
Mm-hmm. But I want to interject here on Mr. Cronenberg's behalf and say if it irritates him, it irritates me, that the first thing you have to do is to tell us who his father is, as if he doesn't just have his own autonomous
I am sorry,
career.
Mr. Brandon.
I'm not, hey, we don't know how he feels about it. I'm just saying, you could go the whole discussion about a person, but if you start with that, it sort of either like sets them up for failure or you're supposed to now assume they're a success, right? So everything after that has a lot of shit all bundled up in it, and that's the controversy of the what's it called these days? Baby Hollywood or whatever.
Yeah, Nepa babies.
Nepa babies, which, I'm just saying, I'm just being the advocate here for Mr.
All right, sorry, Mr. Brandon Cronenberg. I apologize. I'll put it in writing if you want.
That he still is the son of David Cronenberg. However, he stands on his own.
All right, Infinity Pool, Sid Talk, how did you like it?
This one's a complex one because I enjoy films that make me like, what? I mean, I'm not super confused, and we were just part of our discussion before the show, was that neither of us are like, what? What is that?
It's hard to shock us.
Yeah, we're never super confused. Not that we know it all, but the first reaction isn't to prickle or to wake up some sort of fear of not understanding what's happening, because I enjoy that feeling. I enjoy being like, what the hell is going on here? And then I get sort of like into it. And you know what? His face after the first incident, when they zoom in and hold his face for a long time,
yes,
and he goes from kind of like neutrality to that weird, sick little grin. That is how I feel when something really out of joint is happening. I'm like, whoa, my brain is all sparked on fire, and I enjoy that. So this movie does that.
Yes, it does.
To some degree. And overall, I enjoy the whole experience. And when you find out what it is or you watch it, you might be like, you enjoy that?
Yeah.
It's challenging, we like to say, right? It's challenging.
This film's kind of out of the ordinary slightly. It is unusual and slightly weird. But for that, it's quite straightforward, this one.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's kind of explained to you. It's not... some of them are confusing, right? Possessor was slightly confusing.
I feel like the end is the point where even I'm like, okay, what is he actually trying to say here? Because it's not clear. Yeah, you might think it is, but it isn't.
We'll go into spoilers for the movie, so if you've not seen it and you want to see it, go and see it and then come back. So spoilers on the movie. Yeah, it's pretty out there, this movie. What's going on, Sid Talk? What's
happening is they've gone to this resort, and I don't know how out there it is because we've seen a lot of interesting fiction in our lives, right? I don't know if it's any more out there than that one movie we were talking about with the lady has relations with a car.
Tatane.
Yeah, so, it's all relative, I guess, to the experiences you've had. But so this husband and wife are at the resort. He's the author who's had the one book. She is very wealthy. Her father is the actual publisher of his book or whatever it's called. He owns the publishing company, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the jokes are almost instantly, even when we meet our new little couple who are sort of like strangely familiar, right? The constant comments are kind of putting him down, our author.
Yeah, that he hasn't got his own money.
Yes.
He's kind of unsuccessful.
So we've got that dynamic going on. Then this interesting couple say, hey, come with us outside the resort. They go outside of the resort. They're not supposed to. Something bad happens. They end up in jail. And the punishment on this island for almost every single crime is that you are killed by the government.
Yes, executed.
Yes. However, because we're also commenting overall on the exploitive nature of tourism on a place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's an overriding theme.
And rich people privilege.
Yes, yes. And so what you can do to get out of being executed is, and it's just out of the blue, because we're grounded in reality here. We're not in science fiction. It's set in 2018. We're not in the future. But out on this island, they can make a clone of you, essentially. And that clone then gets executed. Everyone knows it's a clone. The government knows it's a clone. The family of, if you murdered somebody or killed somebody accidentally, they know it's a clone. You have to sit and watch as yourself, who has all of your own memories. So it's you. It's a perfect photocopy of you. So they're in pain, they're suffering, they're just as confused as you would be. And so this thing itself has turned into a tourist attraction for very wealthy people, so they can get away with crimes. They go do a crime, they go to jail, they pay the government makes a clone, and then the clone gets executed, and then they make another crime, and then they do it again and again, and it's like this it unleashes their, I think of the movie Event Horizon, where the idea when you're going across the event horizon of a black hole that all laws of everything go out the window and everything is chaos and there's no rules of anything, no rules of behavior, or it's all just a mishmash of whatever, like craziness. And that's what's happening in their minds. Either they've been copied so many times, because here's the big question, right?
Yeah, it makes the question in the movie.
Yeah.
They say it. Is
the person we're now dealing with the original or a copy? And so, like you pointed out, every time you make a copy, you lose a little bit of detail. So, like, are they going slowly, like, insane?
Yeah.
Or not? Or what?
Or
losing,
whatever? Like I said, they could be losing their humanity almost.
I thought that for a while, but then, big spoiler, when they're all going home in the end, they're all just very fucking boring. Like, they're sitting on the bus, going to the airport, they're all very wealthy, and they're talking about, we're going to remodel the house.
Yeah, they're actually making a point of saying their lives kind of suck.
Yeah, and they're really bored.
And they're lonely and bored. And
monotonous, blah, blah, blah. So they're just go back to normalcy, which is one of the flaws, I think, of the movie.
Well, how I looked at that was, because when they're on the island, it's such a mindfuck, they can do what they want. They have to have, like, a moment of nothing until they come back again, though, next year or whatever.
You know what this reminds me of all of a sudden?
What?
Are you reading my mind?
Maybe.
Westworld.
Yeah, exactly.
You can go to Westworld and do whatever you want. And then, okay. Yeah. So another commentary on...
You could even parallel that to, you know, when they roll up on the train in Westworld and they roll up on the bus here, like, it, you know? Yeah. Hey, this is basically Westworld. But there are no robots.
And there's not a whole lot of gore in Westworld like there is in this one.
Yeah, but it is that. It's that kind
of
nipples
with things coming out of them. Sorry, I'm just telling you, we're spoiling things. There's nipples with something coming out, not liquid.
There's a lot of awkward things going on.
Awkward, yes.
There's some really cool imagery. I love flashing colored lights. And if you do like flashing colored lights, this is your movie, right?
I mean, I don't know if those two things absolutely go together, but...
I mean, they're not just flashing colored lights. The flashing colored lights could have stuff going on within them, such as an orgy.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know what I was looking at sometimes. Just mucus, maybe?
Mucus? I didn't see any mucus except for that one time.
I think there was, in the flashing sequence of the orgy, I think there might have been a bit of mucus. I think there also might have been a bit of finger in the a-hole. You know? I mean, I was seeing all kinds of things. It was bizarre.
Maybe. Okay. Time to psychoanalyze, because maybe. Maybe none of that was there. Maybe if I'm sitting here going, I didn't see the finger. And do we need to have a talk? Do we need to get you some?
Maybe that sequence is some kind of hypnotizing thing, because it is weird.
Like the opening of Irreversible, where the sound and the image, it's supposed to like actually F with your brain, like to give you an uneasy feeling.
Yeah. So you were in the mind of you liked it, but I really liked it, but I did feel like the ending was lacking. I thought it didn't really amount to anything.
And it makes it sound so super pretentious to say that it's kind of pretentious, because that's exactly what I think. It's like it got so far wrapped up in human versus themselves, literally. Literally. So by that I mean he's fighting a clone of himself. Or maybe it's two clones.
An animalistic version of himself, too.
Yeah, but is it? I mean, he's just smoking that dopey nature, stuff.
Like, yeah.
Oh, there's a whole other layer there.
Yeah. There's definitely stuff to be analyzed.
Yes. But then when it descends to that specifically, that's very, I don't want to say it's a literary thing, you know, to contemplate, what would it be like to like see myself being executed and then to see myself attack myself and what would I really do? Like, it's very, very wrapped up in like self, you know, and it isn't that interesting. I don't find it interesting because I don't have the internal constant battles with myself, I suppose. Maybe in my youth I did, but I kind of just moved past it. So that I thought was a bit like, I kind of flatlined a little bit. When we got to the clone on the dog chain situation. Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much the climax, isn't it? Right near the end.
Climax.
Wait, yeah, there's definitely a climax in this movie. There might be more than one climax, to be fair.
I mean, I don't know what you were seeing. Obviously, you were adding stuff to it, so interesting.
There's some milk. I saw some milk.
Let's not spoil everything.
I saw some, it looked like Elmer's glue, but it might not have been. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I saw the movie too.
Yeah, so it is explicit, let's say.
I mean, it is, but it isn't. I mean, there's a couple nipples, and we see some penises.
There's a lot of like nakedness in that.
There
scene.
is, but it doesn't feel super graphic. Am I just jaded? Because
You must just be used to looking at the nakeds, the naked peeps.
Seeing orgies and
Penises
fingers and whatnot.
Yeah. What it amounts to, I mean, stylistically, I loved it. I like from the opening where the camera's upside down, you're like, whoa, what the hell?
And that is it's a trick for you to be told very upfront. I mean, I thought maybe there'd be a twist on it, but there wasn't. What it's telling you is you're about to enter sort of like an alternate reality when the camera switches around. It's the same as when a camera's got shaky cam in the moment to represent the person's emotional state, or we're going around in circles to do confusion. There's visual tricks that they they give meaning to, and that's what that is. And I thought, oh, maybe that's not really what we're talking about. But in the end,
it's pretty straightforward in terms of what's happening. They don't try and trick you. There's not really a twist, apart from the twist is, right near the beginning where the guy says, hey, we can make a clone of you now. And and then you're like, oh, okay, all bets are off. This is going to be crazy. But then perhaps it isn't as crazy as I expected.
Yeah, it all boils down to his own personal struggles with himself.
Yes.
And his feelings of inadequacy, being emasculated, all that kind of stuff is all wrapped up in this battle with yourself. And in this situation, it is man versus himself. And that's why I find it kind of like just a little treadmill of an idea, It might be a treadmill of an idea, but you've definitely not seen it executed in this way. Executed, excuse the pun. I mean, not precisely, but I do think Leftovers. I mean, we get in the end when he's...
Leftovers, yes. I was having a bit of...
He's dealing with his own... It's all about him.
I must say I absolutely love The Leftovers.
You did? I love The Leftovers. I just didn't really buy into the whole end of it. Or the actual thing of it,
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get on to the cast. Alexander Skarsgård plays James Foster. Are you a fan of Alexander?
I do like him, actually.
How good was he in The Northman?
I think he was good in this, because this required a few very challenging...
Yeah.
Like, first of all, the animalistic side, the being whacked out on whatever that drug was that they were doing. Then there's the intimate scene with the... lady, Mia Goth. So there's a lot going on there that pushes him past being a vampire.
Yeah. We were introduced to him watching True Blood a long time ago.
Correct.
I always thought he was cool in True Blood. True Blood might not have aged very well, I'm thinking.
Another one of those things that when you come to the end, you're like, what?
Yeah. That fizzled out for sure, didn't it? It was really cool for a couple of seasons, and then it was like, what's happening?
We're very picky, and yes, this is a review, but
no, we might be picky, but we always stick around to the end, though.
Yes,
because we did stay around for all of the seasons,
just like The Walking Dead.
Yes.
I am a zombie lover, so I'll watch any old shit with zombie, and I don't care when it's from or what it is, or if it's. I don't care. The quality is irrelevant, and yet Walking Dead is really. Is there more of it? Is it done now?
No, there's more coming. Don't worry.
Well, no,
we're not over yet.
I want it to be over.
We can't be over till it's over.
I want it to be over.
See, we're the most loyal. We're loyal. You might be showing, it might be a pile of shit, but we're still watching.
I'll say this, though. I think you're more loyal than me, because I would have given up on that. But possible. I'm not going to I'm not going to give up on a movie halfway through.
No.
There's literally less than 5 movies in my whole life that I have gotten to a point where I'm like, what am I?
Once I'm in. It doesn't matter for me.
I've bailed just very, very, maybe 4 times ever. And that's including videotapes in the 80s and 90s.
Right.
When you get home with some shit and you're just like, well, I mean, I paid $3 for it, so I might as well watch it all the way through. Does anyone remember videotapes, kids?
I bet Brandon Cronenberg does.
How old is he?
He's in his 30s, I would say.
Only in his 30s?
Yeah.
His
His dad's around 70-ish. So
that doesn't mean anything.
30 sounds about right. Let's go on to Mia Goth as Gabby Bauer. What do you think of Mia?
I enjoy watching her. I don't want her to get stuck in this thing, though.
What did I say when she first came on the screen?
She's bad news.
Yes,
She's bad news.
I actually said...
Not the actress, the character.
That girl is trouble. Go the other way. Don't go where she is. Because you can just tell she's trouble from the second she walks on the screen. You don't want her to get typecast as...
Yeah, I don't want her to... I mean, she does it well. Don't get me wrong. Because she's... What we've seen her in here before, it's that same spices. You know what I mean? Very different moments because she has to pull out some very... Like when she's in the car yelling at him to come out of the bus. That's like full all in. Remember that moment?
It's like she went bonkers for a while.
Yes, and it was really good. I was like, oh, she's giving me the creeps. Like, she's giving me the creeps, like deep down. So I like how she does that. I just want... Because it's almost as if this could be the same character because she's not right.
There were a couple of flashes where I was like, oh, that's Pearl, isn't it? You know?
Pearl, yes.
Yeah. So, but that doesn't mean it was... I really like her. I think she's, I would say, exciting to watch. Because I don't know what she's going to do.
Do you mean exciting or do you mean exciting?
I don't mean exciting as in the mother's milk part of this movie.
Or the hand job.
Or the hand job part, yeah. I mean more like, what the hell is this girl going to do next? For instance, when
let's say woman.
Yeah, when she was yelling at the bus, I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
like, she just let go. Like,
yes, she just let go and like was all in. So I love that.
Yeah. Cleopatra Coleman plays M. Foster. This is James's wife. What do you think of Cleopatra?
We didn't get enough of her, I don't think. I mean, she was fine, but she
disappeared from the movie in the middle of it.
She kind of played the snotty wife who understands that her husband, from her point of view, I think is useless. She's wealthy, but here's the deal. Here's one thing I gleaned from it. She's the wealthy one, right? So she's been raised with lots of money. We're led to understand that they're very wealthy. Her family. She can't cope with what she now kind of catches on is happening to him. That once he went through this weird process of seeing himself get executed, that something's gone wrong in him, right? She can't handle it. She's out. So the idea that it's just because you're wealthy or privileged that you're willing to like go along with this very indulgent thing. So I wonder about the other people. Are they all sort of like I don't know. I just got that from her that she's actually the rich one. Maybe none of them are actually rich. They're just sort of playing a role and they're taking advantage, exploiting this idea that, well, I have some money so I can do the most horrible thing I could possibly do. I don't know. I just got that. So I feel like she was fine, but she had a very specific, sad, surprised look on her face almost the whole time. Even in the beginning, we kind of dropped the ball, I think, on her because in the beginning they were having their breakfast. She's like, do you mind if I just go and do my own thing? She goes to do her own thing. He ends up meeting this couple or whatever. And there's no explanation for why she's already disconnected from him or if she's a part of it. Because I wondered halfway through, I'm like, is this all a setup?
Yeah.
From the wife to get the husband to like be more, to get him to write an interesting book? Like I thought all kinds of stuff where she would have been involved. But in the end,
pretty harsh scheme to do a book.
I mean, the game was a game.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Fictionally speaking is what we're talking
about. Brandon Cronenberg's the director. Possessor is the one we've seen from him. He did one other movie. What do you think of his directing?
I really like the look and the not too excessive weirdness.
He has a style which is like a lot of close-ups and then often like really far away. Like
yes. And it's all very supposed to, it's you open the book of how to give the feeling of a thing with a visual image. And I think that's what we're following a little bit,
Yeah.
The super close-ups where they're not really looking at you is supposed to make you feel a little bit weird. The super close-ups where they're looking directly into the camera is supposed to make you feel something else. And so I understand there's a little bit of by the bookness, even though the content might be challenging. I feel like his filmmaking is trying to be very cinematic.
I love his psychedelic sequences.
Yeah, it's not too much.
Yeah, Possessor has a couple, and this has a couple. And they are, I don't know, they're really fun to look at. If you are epileptic or something, it might be terrible because there's very
flickering
fast.
And flashing and
strobing. There's so many things going on. There's kaleidoscopes and there's, I don't know. I really like those sequences. It's like a Nine Inch Nails music video. So it kind of speaks to.
You reckon there's a 9 Inch Nails video that looks like that sequence?
There are maybe not. Less goo, let's say,
and less fingers in holes.
Yeah. So IMDb reviews, what are those?
Those are reviews on a website called imdb.com. You love to find the 1 star or 1 thumb or whatever it is, 1 finger. Talk about how this person has taken the time of their life to write. Most likely, this movie is pointless. This was a waste of my time. This is the worst movie ever made. Any of those are
probably
classics.
What they're going to say, yes.
It's classic. It's classic.
First guy says, not scary, just sick.
That's it?
No.
Okay.
He says this type of movie is shock value, and that's it. There's no value to the story, and there's no attempt to scare you. Big budget, fancy acting, fancy editing, and bizarre sequences. It's still bad.
I don't think it's bad.
Second guy says, 2 hours of your life wasted.
Oh, there we go. I love that one.
This movie was actual booty. There was no plot, the acting was garbage, and I'm a medical student. Me and my husband went to watch this on our weekly break. I regret spending my time watching this garbage. It was so bad. I wish I had spent the time studying. Half the theatre we were in got up and left because of how terrible it was. Spoiler alert, nothing happens. That's not true.
That's a theme so far. Like, there's nothing to it. I disagree that it doesn't have... I do think it has a point to make. He has a point to make with this story, right?
Yes, he does.
If you are challenged by what you're seeing in order to get to it, then yeah, that can make it feel like there's nothing there. But
And the last guy says, dumpster fire. This movie is a flaming dump truck rolling down a hill towards a chemical plant. What it lacked in plot made up for in drug-induced, fever dream, disco, light Halloween mask orgy scenes. Save yourself the money, turn on a strobe light in your house, throw a paint can at the wall, and crank up a recording of feral cats screeching into a megaphone.
Oh, okay, this person found something I didn't hear. I didn't see the finger a-hole situation. I'm not hearing the screeching cats. Maybe he did do something to our brains.
Maybe. He makes it so you see what you need to see.
Oh my, like hypnotized.
Yeah. All right, so conclusion, we're going to give this movie, Infinity Pool, a score. I'm going to give Infinity Pool a 6 out of 10.
I give it a 6.7. I think that it's pushing it because it makes me feel something, and I like that.
I do love this kind of film.
Mm-hmm.
They're not all a home run. So, I do like it, though. I do like that this kind of film gets made and it's not all just Marvel movie, right?
Yeah, and I like the experience of it, not knowing what the heck's going on and,
Yep.
discussing it.
So next week's movie review will be Gerard Butler in the movie Plane.
It's not a sequel to...
It's a sequel to Airplane. Surely you can't be serious. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
I know how old you are.
Yes. So, yeah, it's the sequel to Airplane.
No, I was thinking that other one. The really bad one.
No, it's not a sequel to anything. It's
the brother with the weather system.
Yeah, no, forget that movie. It's nothing to do with that.
What was that?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It sucked. We hated it.
Well, I don't know if I hated it, but I remember.
We did. It was our worst movie of that particular
I'm not
year.
Remembering it fondly.
We forgot it. We don't know the name.
You're just saying that because you don't want me to bring it up? Is that what you're...
Yeah.
I got it.
All right, movie recommendations. I'm simply going for Crash, which is David Cronenberg, my favorite David Cronenberg movie. And Pearl, which is my favorite Mia Goth movie.
Well, those are very expected. That's
simple.
Beautiful, beautiful situation. I, on the other hand, am going back for all of 2023 to the beginning of this century and millennia. And I'm going through science fiction movies, starting with the early 2000s and moving our way up and we're up to 2008. with the remake of Death Race, science fiction. These aren't, I'm not.
Oh, that was the one with Jason Statham.
Yes, and I'm not giving you these recommendations based on quality. They're just based on movies I've seen. And that's it, with a theme. Then we have Doomsday.
I effing love that movie.
You did. And it has, what's his face in it from The Boys, which you love. Carl Urban.
It does.
Hellboy 2, The Golden Army. That's all one movie.
Yep.
I love Hellboy movies from the original Hellboy movies. I really like Beauty and the Beast guy.
Yeah, that one was good.
Then we have Iron Man from
Awesome.
2008.
The very first Marvel movie in the DCU thing.
Is it?
Yep. It was the opening.
Right. I mean, they had Spider-Man, but that was a Sony.
Right.
Marvel
This was
movie.
the beginning of the Marvel
Right, and it was
universe.
very enjoyable. And then I have Journey to the Center of the Earth, which would have had Brendan Fraser in it.
Yes.
Or did it have Joey from Friends?
Brendan Fraser.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's been Journey of the Center of the Earth to the Center of the Earth before, like 100 years ago, and now there's that one. Again, not talking about quality here. Just saying.
All right. A Scully stuff. I've been playing a new game, New Tales from the Borderlands. Or Borderlands. How would you say that? Borderlands. It's it's the new Telltale game. So it's not like an action game. It's a story game. You get to make choices. Your choices matter, but as we know, Sid Talk, they don't really matter.
They don't matter.
No.
They've already made a track for you. They're just making it appear.
You're just going along a track and things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of a fun one. This is set in the Borderlands universe, which is it's a first-person shooter that has been going for years. I think they're up to the third one. Well, this is like a story take on that world. They're actually making a feature film of Borderlands next year. So we're going to get to see that world in live action. But this one's, it's a band of, they call them a band of idiots at the beginning of the game, which they're not all idiots, but there is some idiocy. Idiocy?
That's high praise there. They're not all idiots.
No. It's highly comical. You said it sounded a bit like Scooby-Doo.
Yes, I was listening from the kitchen to the dialogue and the one guy's voice, and it was just like, wow, that's like Shaggy, Yeah. The sort of like bumblingness of it.
Yeah.
But it sounded fun, because I was interested in you telling me about the characters and whatnot.
Yeah, it is really fun, and if you like the Telltale style, there's not a lot of gameplay, but there is a lot of decisions to make. And there's often you have to press buttons in time, quickly. So, but you're not running around and shooting or anything. It's more of a story. That's New Tales from the Borderlands, and that's available now. And we've also been watching The Mandalorian. I just want to say this week's Mandalorian was very awesome. You remember that one?
You mean from last night?
I mean,
yes.
Yeah. So good this week. It was like watching like a Star Wars movie. It felt like a whole movie to me.
Let's just make sure everyone knows that you are in love with Star Wars, and so...
Yes.
Yeah.
But this episode really captured kind of everything. It was just a bit of everything. I really liked it. So, Sid, what's for dinner?
I believe we're going to go with the Mod Pizza. And no, we're not sponsored. And the only reason I'm telling you is because we're vegetarian. We have been since 2009, and people still get weirded out. Don't understand how you could give a shit what anyone eats, but whatever. We're not vegan, because vegans are a philosophy, not a diet. We just don't eat meat. That's it. We do eat eggs and dairy, but not much. But it's not like a statement, right? So Mod Pizza is what we're having. And the other day, I forget what I made or what we were having. And I said, well, last night I made this amazing burrito with hash browns, avocado, tomato.
It was really good.
Some mayonnaise. I had some raw broccoli to go with it. It was insanely delicious. I'm like, the question I get most often is, oh, well, what do you eat? What can you eat? What are you supposed to eat then? I'm like, take a deep breath. Everything else that's edible on the whole fucking planet. It's a very simple answer.
I made a delicious rice bowl this week, which contained rice, cabbage, mango, chutney,
I mean, let's not pretend that you made it up. It was HelloFresh. But it was very good.
It was a Green Chef.
Oh, Green Chef, right. We're not sponsored again, unfortunately. I'd take a free HelloFresh for the rest of my life. But it was amazing. And so we're telling you what we eat because, I mean, I'm not a skinny person. I'm not a thin, fit person. I'm not physically fit at all. I'm very round and chunky. I seem to survive just fine on carbohydrates. and sugar and vegetables, you know? And you're fit. You run on the treadmill and stuff, so you're fine. But you look like you could represent the idea of a vegetarian. When I tell people I'm vegetarian, they look at me like, what, for like 5 minutes?
Well,
I know.
Rude. All right, Sidtar, what's your advice? Let's get out of it.
Okay, so my advice is, again, not advice. Of course. It just occurs to me the older I get, and people will disagree, and it can be traumatic to have this idea in your mind, this observation of life, but whatever, and every single thing you think or believe, or every concept in your head, everything that you look at and you have a word for it, was created by the world around you and the history of humanity. Like, chances are, and I don't know every single person, but you didn't invent any idea or any reaction that you could have to any idea. You didn't invent a language or words for anything. We just don't. We don't generally do that. We're just products, right? We are a product of the combination of all the parts and ingredients that get whipped together and riveted and glued together with whatever experiences we have. That's us. That's the filters now that we observe, process the world, and then all the vomit that we vomit back out by what we say and what we do and how we behave. And here's the spoiler alert, that even with that range of combination of input, right? So my 55 years of being born a certain place with certain people and a certain family and going to certain places, blah, blah, blah. And here I am. You're squeezing me out of the sausage maker, right? I am not unique or special. I'm not different than many, many, many millions, probably billions of other people who have or will ever exist. Even though my combination of experiences appears to be different when you zoom in on me and zoom in on you and probably all the people I know in life, right? It's going to be different, somewhat. But I'm not actually anything special. Like, there are lots of me, lots of this combination of emotional intelligence, as they like to call it now, the way I react to the world, the way my brain is hardwired, the way I feel, the way my body feels, the way my body looks, the way my voice sounds, all of it is not actually special or unique. And so I don't know I don't know why I came to this lately, just thinking about it. People thinking that the way they think is very special and correct, and that it has honed in on a truth that no one else can figure out unless you're in that group, right? Unless you've experienced what they've experienced, you can't possibly understand. I just disagree with that.
Nicely said.
I mean, there's no point to that. It is not advice, nor is it a constructive criticism.
It was well said, though. I liked it.
Thank you.
All right, ascully.com is the website you can go to get this podcast. We're also on anchor.fm/after the show. No, we're not. We're on Spotify. Why do I keep saying anchor.fm? I have to knock that off the show list. Okay.
What are you? Are you that guy that you love so much?
I am.
You are. What's his name?
Ron Burgundy.
Ron Burgundy will just read.
I'll read whatever you put on there. All right.
Oh my God. Now that's a challenge. So next week, if you say something really bizarre, it's because I've written it on we have an outline that we read during the show. So
I mean, it's an outline, yeah, just to keep us on the right track.
Me, I would have pure chaos and just have it be my talking and blah, blah, blah for an hour or 5 hours and then just be done.
All right, so we're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, anywhere that podcasts are available. We're also on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can email feedback to me, ascully@ascully.com. Do not email Sid Talk. She doesn't want any of your emails or any of your nonsense. And stay classy, Mr. Brandon Cronenberg. Looking forward to another one of these types of movies from you. Thank you.
And I'm going to say think for yourself, because if you're not doing it, someone is definitely doing it for you, just like you.